Welcome to podcast Isaiah 1a of the series Let the Prophets Speak. This is your host Saul Weinreb with our first podcast on the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah. My goal is to convey the ideas of Yeshayahu in a meaningful and inspiring manner. I will attempt to maintain the flow and message of his words by reading the Hebrew verse and then paraphrasing the text in English, rather than by providing a direct word-for-word translation. This first chapter that we are about to read may be familiar to many of you as the weekly portion of the prophets, the Haftorah that is read every year as we mourn the temple and the destruction of the temple on the holiday of Tisha B'Av. This is one of the few segments of this book where Yeshayahu takes a harsh tone of rebuke rather than a comforting vision of the future. He begins, Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amoz asher chazo al Yehuda v'Yerushalayim b'mei Uziyahu yotam achaz Yechezkiyahu malchei Yehuda. This is the vision of Isaiah the son of Amoz, which he saw concerning Yehuda and Yerushalayim during the days of the four kings, Uziyahu, Yotam, Achaz, and Yechezkiyahu. During our introduction, we pointed out that one of the primary lessons of the book of Yeshayahu is that the nation of Israel has a special mission. That mission is to live our relationship to God and set an example for the world to follow. We are not special because of our special military prowess or our wealth or our intelligence, but rather we are special because we have a special relationship with God, and we are here to teach the world about this relationship and about justice and righteousness and our faith in a future of peace and purpose. And this chapter was said during a time when the Jewish people were witnessing the massive destruction being wrought upon the Judean countryside by the invasion of the Assyrian Army. The wounded, the injured, the people are gathering into the walls of Jerusalem for protection as the army of Assyria gathers outside the walls to lay a siege. The people are wondering, why are we suffering? And they turn to God. They turn to the temple. They turn to prayer. They turn to sacrifice. And Isaiah gives the following speech, which we are about to study. Shimu shamayim v'yazini eretz ki Adonai diber, banim gidalti v'romamti v'hem pashu bi. Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth, for God has spoken. I have raised children and uplifted them, but they have rebelled against me. God says to us, I chose you and made you special for a reason, but we have forgotten that reason. This is the message that Yeshayahu tells the people as they are downtrodden, that you have sinned. You are not acting properly. You have forgotten why you are special. The ox knows his owner, the donkey knows his master's trough, but Israel doesn't know. They aren't thinking. Even animals understand their place, but the Jewish people lost sight of their special purpose in the world of nations. How have you been sinners? You have forsaken God. You have turned back on God. You have turned your back on God. You have turned to corruption and sin instead. Al metu kuod tosifu sara kol rosh lachali v'chalev davai. Why are all of our heads in pain? Why are all of our hearts full of woe? Why are we constantly getting struck? Because we continue to turn away. Mikaf regel v'yad roshin bo mitom v'chabura makotriya lo zoru v'lo chubashu v'lo rukha bashamen. From people's legs to their heads, there's no one that doesn't have wounds and illnesses and injuries. We don't even have the ability to bandage the wounds and to treat the sick. The land is destroyed, the cities are burnt in flames. Your land is being eaten and used by the enemy. Only because Zion, Jerusalem, remains standing like a hut in the middle of a field. That's the only reason why we're still here. Had God not allowed us to have this one place that remains standing, the walls of Jerusalem, we would have been just like the people of Sodom and Amorah, those cities which were utterly and completely destroyed. Isaiah has now finished describing this awful situation, and now he turns to the Jewish people and explains where they have went wrong. The commentaries describe to us and try to imagine this. The people must have been astounded by the words of Yeshayahu. Here we are suffering and he's calling us sinners. We're keeping the laws of the Torah. We worship. We pray in the temple. We bring sacrifices. We celebrate the Sabbath, the Shabbat. We celebrate the festivals. We celebrate the new moon. We do all of the rules that God commanded us to do. We're doing what he asked. Why is Yeshayahu calling us sinners? The answer that Yeshayahu will give will continue in the next podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your participation.